Hey, something a little different than every plate tonight. We're doing an Instapot recipe that I've come to late in the game, but I love my Instapot. So I discovered that pork loin during the pandemic was about the only meat that was left in Walmart at one point. Is very versatile. You can do so much with it. So tonight we're going to use, I bought a 4 pound pork loin. I cut it. This is 3 pounds of it. The others I made into like boneless chops that we'll cook tomorrow night. But I got a 3 pound pork loin here, and we're going to cook it in the Instapot to make pork roast with carrots and potatoes as well. So to start off with, we make a dry rub. We've got 3 teaspoons of garlic, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 4 teaspoons of sea salt, and 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Put that in this bowl. I'm going to mix it all up. Then I'll rub it all over the outside of the roast, get it and let it sit for a while. Then we'll take it over here to our pan, and I'll show you what we're going to do there. We're going to melt some butter, cook some onions, garlic, and then we'll sear the outside of that roast. That's coming up. So we've put our dry rub all over our roast, and we're going to let that rest for a while while we prep some of the other veggies and so forth. I have chopped up 1 small medium yellow onion. I have 3 cloves of garlic chopped up. Now I cheated and I used the minced garlic. That's a lot easier than chopping up your own. But so I have 3 teaspoons of garlic. I've got this 1 yellow onion. Over in my pan, I'm melting 2 tablespoons of butter. We'll put the onion in there for about 4 or 5 minutes, soften it up, and then put the garlic in just long enough for it to get fragrant. Doesn't take long. Once we do that, then we're going to add another 2 tablespoons of butter to that, and we'll put our meat in there and sear it on all sides, about 3 minutes per side. Make sure that gets seared and closed and kind of a golden brown color to it. Now, if you look at Instapot recipes, they'll tell you can do it in the Instapot on saute. Then you got to scrape the bits out so it doesn't think that you're burning. I prefer to do all this that you would sometimes do in the Instapot over in my black iron pan. It just makes cleanup a whole lot easier. All right, as soon as we get the meat seared, then we'll put it in the Instapot. I'll show you that. So our onions and garlic are sauteed. You're supposed to put 2 more tablespoons of butter in. I actually put 4 in order to sear the outside of this meat because I think more butter is more better. I messed that up. Anyway, more butter is more better. Now we're going to put our meat in there about 3 minutes on the side, sear it and brown the outside. So I'm going to grab the meat and we'll plop it in. I'll set my timer, and I'll just make sure all the sides are seared real well, and then I'll be back. All right, so as you can see, we have seared all 6 sides of the roast, and now I'm going to put it in the Instapot, get ready to cook. So before we do that, we'll take our trivet, put it in the bottom of the Instapot. Our meat will sit right on that. Then we're going to take a cup and a half of any kind of broth. You can use beef broth, chicken broth, and if you have an old can of beer laying around, you can do that too. But we'll put that in the pan, get all the drippings and stuff out of it, and then we'll pour that over the meat, and we'll put our veggies in. I'll be right back with that. All right, so our meat's down in the Instapot, and in our pan, I used that cup and a half of beef broth to kind of scrape the goodies off the bottom. I'm going to pour this in, but I don't want to pour it directly on the meat because I don't want to rinse off all the flavoring. So we'll pour it off to the side. We got that in there. We got our liquid on the bottom. Our roast is sitting on the trivet. And then I've got potatoes and carrots. The carrots are underneath the potatoes. They're cut up into 1-inch pieces. I'm going to toss that a little bit and then put it in around the roast. So there are the potatoes and carrots. They are right up to the max fill line. And we like lots of potatoes and carrots with it. So I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on this, and then we'll set it manual to cook. And I'm looking to see how long that is, for 70 minutes. So it's going to take at least an hour and 10 minutes. It'll take a while for the Instapot to come up to pressure, but we'll set it on manual for 70 minutes. So I'm going to put the lid on, make sure our steam valve is in the sealed position. Then we'll turn this on manual. Right now it's at 41 minutes. We'll set it to 70. And it will turn on. It'll come up to pressure. The steam valve will lock it, and in 70 minutes we are going to open it up and take a look and see what we got. All right, so now our Instapot has gone 70 minutes, and we're going to turn this off. And then on the top is the release. So we're going to release that, and as soon as this red button right here drops down, that means all the pressure is released inside the Instapot. We don't want to try to take the lid off until that red button is down. So this will take a couple minutes for it to release and relieve all the steam. Then we'll open it up. All right, it's been about 3.5, 4 minutes, and the steam is done venting. The little red button's down, so now we can open the Instapot. That's very steamy. So there we have the vegetables on top are done, the meat's underneath. I'm going to need to try to spoon the veggies out, put them in this bowl over here. Then I'll get the meat out, put it on our cutting board, cut it with an electric knife. And you see I have 4 tablespoons of butter and 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. I'm going to use the drippings in the bottom of this pot to make gravy. All right, so we got a pretty big bowl full of vegetables. If you saw how much we made, our meat's out, kind of cooling a little bit. I'm going to use an electric knife to carve it up in a minute. I actually used this strainer, poured the last bit of vegetables in there, got the liquid out. That's in here, and I put it back in. We're going to use this to make gravy. So I'm going to take the Instapot, put it on saute. That's going to start heating this up in the bottom. Taking 4 tablespoons of butter, put that in there. I'm going to let it melt. Then I'm going to work in my 1/4 cup of flour, and then I'll come back when this gravy is done. All right, our gravy is done. Whoa! I whisked in that 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour plus the 1/4 cup of butter. And I'm telling you something, this is some of the best gravy. Not because I made it, but just the way it's made. This gravy is so good. We've got our pork all sliced up. Our veggies ready to go. We'll put that on a plate, put a little gravy on it. And I'm telling you, this stuff is so good that, especially this gravy, is so good. You don't want to get it up on your forehead or on your hair, because your tongue will beat your brains out trying to get to it. It's that good. Hope you enjoyed it. Instapot pork roast with veggies.